And I think the other stock which is now taking cue from that, and it's purely going to be a valuation catch-up game now, is Sun TV. You know, I was reading a couple of morning reports about the kind of huge gap that now it trades with compared to Z. And I think that's also opened a bit higher, and that in fact could play a bit of a catch-up. There's a 4 percentage point difference in terms of the valuation of Sun TV compared to Z Entertainment, and that's the reason that you're seeing this big move also play out on Sun TV. On NCC, actually, you're seeing from the higher point some bit of decline. Same is the case with Concor, but really for me, Z and Sun TV, these are some of a couple of names that you got to keep an eye on.
But Anu, just a follow-up question on the market opening itself. I mean, does it at all concern you that it's taking such a measured call at open, despite so many announcements, so many news points?
That's okay. The market rallied yesterday, so you know the market will digest some gains and then move on. It's still you have to focus on individual stocks. I think that's the key that the market's told you. And really, I mean, there's so many stocks giving you good value right now. You have to focus on them, and and take the market call later. 50 points down now on the Bank Nifty. I think let's see. There's always temptation to book profit after the news. So the market's doing that.
And it's perhaps also healthy that when the gains come, they are better supported at 12,000. Mitesh, what's your sense? Would you go long on the Nifty now that you have got the dip?
Maybe another 15-20 points lower if somebody wants to buy a fresh 10,980, 975 would be a good entry point. Take a 30-35 point kind of stop loss, and 12,100 should be your near-term target.
Okay, Mitesh, we were just talking about this, and it's exactly playing out that way. IndusInd Bank continues to be on the upside. The rest of the Bank Nifty is slightly quiet. What would your top trades be in banks today? Would you look at PSUs at all? I mean, there's the odd UCO that's still flying around.
No, I do like the PSU banking a lot for sure. I think a lot of stocks are now showing signs of bottoming out on the medium-term chart, which means that over the next few weeks and months, I think they could give you a good trading rally. Particularly Bank of India, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda top the list, apart from State Bank of India, which also remains a buy. But coming to IndusInd Bank issue, I think that still should be bought. I think once we cross today's high of 1500, 1502, as I said, I think the next target should be close to about 15, 50, 60 zones, and that could happen very fast because the structure in the short term remains extremely positively biased. I had a sell on Kotak Bank. I think, as I said, Kotak and HDFC just tiring out a bit, nothing much, nothing big negative, but could give a mild decline. So if somebody wants to focus on banks, try to focus on the PSU banks, and from the private sector, IndusInd Bank remains the top choice for next few days.
Okay, by the way, look at both BPCL and Concor now, both at the morning low point, and there could be some more serious profit taking in some of these names because they have run up a lot over the last 3 or 4 days. Now BPCL is at the low point of the day. Concor as well, because yes,
it takes time to find buyers, put out bids, get the right valuation.
And it's the news is not coming in at BPCL at 400 or Concor at 500. These stocks have run up, and these stocks
25%,
have seen this.
30%.
Exactly, the market will bid up these stocks ahead of the news, and after that there will be profit taking. The next figure for these will be coming when the advisors are appointed.
Actually, let's pull up a 1 year of both the stocks,
exactly,
and then your point will be proven. That so much has already been priced in, and it takes time. If Numaligarh has to be, pulled out and sold to another PSU, and then you value the stock, and then you go to the merchant bankers, it takes time. So, and look at the run-up. All the way from 313 to 545, that's all in a matter of what, October to now. That's, or maybe at the most September to now. So that's already in 2 months a big jump. It's actually more than 25%. Yes. It's almost a 30% jump that the stock has already seen. I'm referring to BPCL, and Concor as well has seen a goodish bit of gains. So perhaps it's time to take profit and wait for the actual merchant bankers to be appointed and the bids to come out. But let's not take our eye off Z either. Z is 10% higher now. And for all the details of the deal, let's get it from the person who broke it first. Nisha joins us. Nisha, details of the deal, how much money has been made, how much yet to be made?
Thanks for that, Lata. Yes, a large transaction has finally taken place, 15 crore shares, which means 15.72% stake has been sold by way of block trades at 304 rupees per share, which means 4,560 crore rupees have been raised by these block trades, which means that a large part of it or whole of it will be really going to repay the lenders. The prime beneficiaries could be VTB Capital with 2,000 crore rupees, Birla Mutual Fund with 750 crore rupees, HDFC PMS with 550 crore rupees, L&T Finance with 250 crore rupees are the prime ones, and there are many more. Now remember, there are two parts of this deal. A larger part of online transaction which has already taken place. A small bit of offline transaction is yet to be completed or at least notified. 16.5% is the total sale that is going to happen, which remember also includes 2.3% stake to be sold to the already existing shareholder Invesco Oppenheimer, which remember had announced earlier in July that 11% will be bought over and only a part of it, 2.3%, was remaining. So as part of this overall transaction, that is also getting done. One point to remember, which I'll also pose the question to the management, will be whether or not Oppenheimer has bought at 304 odd rupees or is it at the pre-decided 400 rupees, and that will change the dynamics on what exact is the amount that is going to be raised by this share sale. One very big positive coming in for Zee Entertainment will be that their encumbered shares with VTB Capital from 10.71% is going to be reduced to 1.1%, and of course the management continuity and 5% stake which is going to be retained by SL Group is also to be noted here.
Okay, all right, Nisha, thank you very much for getting us all of the details of that deal. Zee definitely is stock flying away. The rest of the market,
probably HDFC, AMC and
good
AB
for
Capital
a lot of these,
and
yes, the lenders
the
to
other
Zee.
lenders.
As well. By the way, the profit-taking mood is on. Another example would be Vodafone Idea after such a massive gap up. Again, that's another stock which is cooling off this morning. It's that kind of a day. Gautam Shah is now joining us, founder and chief strategist at Goldilocks Premium Research. Gautam, thank you so much for being with us. You know, it's a very interesting time at which we're having this chat, because here we are at peak 12,000. Tremendous news flow. The market is choosing to sell on news, at least right now. What do the charts say? Can we really leapfrog into higher skies from here?
Good morning, Surabhi. Yes, it does look like. I think the setup is as strong as it can get. I think the manner in which the Nifty has rebounded from levels of 11,100 to come back to the doors of 12,000, I think is a phenomenal run. And this is actually the third attempt by the Nifty to get past this level of 12,000. You know, the last two times we got there, the news flow wasn't supportive. There wasn't really so much participation from other sectors. There were many sectors which were actually underperforming. Global markets were in a bit of a difficult space, and on account of that, you know, you had back and forth action within that 11,000, 12,000 area. But this attempt to get past 12,000 is looking far more stronger, and we believe that the Nifty is definitely headed into new lifetime highs, and the short-term target that we are working with is about 12,300. But given the fact that the global markets are looking extremely positive, and the fact that the news flow is only going to get better, which is what the charts are indicating, I wouldn't be surprised if over the next few months you actually see the Nifty run into a level of 13,000. So I think even at these levels, the risk reward is justified to go long. And not only the Nifty, I think the broader markets are also likely to get stronger and stronger from these levels. So with a base around 11,600, 11,700, I think the market is going to continue to run. And the fact that at lifetime highs, you just don't have euphoria. I think there are too many market participants trying to play contra, and unfortunately the news flow hasn't been supportive. I mean, not many people are able to justify a Nifty at 12,000 given the economic fundamental environment that we are in. So keeping all of these factors in mind, I think the markets are clearly headed higher, and it's only going to get better and better over the next many weeks.
Okay, Gautam, hi, good morning. So Reliance has led this move, the last move that is. Do you see more gains for this market behemoth?
Looks like, Anuj. I think there are newer pockets, you know, that are taking the lead. So what we've noticed is that some of the bigger performers like HDFC Bank or a Bajaj Finance have taken a bit of a backseat, because you would have noticed that they have turned sideways, and some of the newer names are actually taking this market higher, which is a great sign. And I have believed that, you know, the money is moving into high beta and people are getting a little more aggressive. So I think all those stocks which did well in the last 6, 12, 18 months might just take a little bit of a backseat, and newer sectors will emerge like pharma, like oil and gas. So I think the run is just started. One should not look at it from a short-term perspective, because there are much greater gains to pay for. And in the oil and gas space, I think the charts are really, really nice. So I think a 10 to 12% upside over the next 4 to 6 weeks on the entire index, the oil and gas index, I think looks very likely.
Okay. Good morning, Gautam. Will the Nifty Bank do better or worse than Nifty?
Sorry?
Will the Nifty Bank do better or worse than the Nifty? Which index would you rather bet on?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I think I would bet on the Nifty Bank, Lata. Actually, if you look at the price performance in the last couple of months, you would notice that the Nifty Bank actually took a little bit of a time to get past the post-tax announcement high, and that happened in the last 1.5 weeks. And after having done that, the Nifty Bank has actually greater momentum than the Nifty, which is a good sign, because in the last 4 or 5 years, whenever the Nifty Bank has led the move, it is far more genuine and the momentum is much better. So I think the Nifty Bank, despite having seen a 2,000 point run up from the lows, and it seems to be completing a sort of a V-shaped recovery. So in the near term, you could see it testing a level of 31,700. But I think over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we are working with a target of about 32,500. And over the next many months, a level of 34,000 on the Bank Nifty is quite doable. So while the private banking stocks have been doing well anyway, I think some of the PSU names are making a comeback. And the top name in that space, I think, looks very, very interesting. So yes, Nifty Bank is probably one of our favorites at this point of time. And I think this run-up will continue. So people who are waiting for that dip to come, I guess it might not come, because you already up 2,000 points. You are at the doors of lifetime highs. And once that gets taken out, a lot of fence sitters, will come into the party, and that will only take the index higher.
Okay. Well, point taken on that. At the moment, clearly it is fence sitting, because a lot of profit taking, but the markets are still very flat at the index level. Gautam, what about PSU banks? Are they still good for a trading bet or any bet?
Well, Lata, I have never been a fan of PSU banks, barring the top name. And I think I have said this many times in the last few months. Every time there has been a run up in the smaller PSU banks, it has always failed. It's been unsuccessful many, many times. You have seen false starts too many times to actually, give it importance. So I'm not a big fan. I wouldn't want to work hard to make returns in this market, and PSU banking is exactly that space. But barring PSU banks, PSU as a basket, if you look at that space, I think that looks very interesting, because I feel that a 20-year underperformance of the PSU basket vis-a-vis the entire market, that is coming to an end. And with this news of privatization in the last couple of days, I think that's just made the charts look much more stronger. So I'm definitely very positive on the PSU basket for the next 1.5 years. I think you could see supernormal returns, but within that space, avoid the PSU banks.
That's an interesting call. A 20-year cycle coming to an end. It'll be interesting in my market reporting career. It'll be the first time, if this comes through, I'll see a real rally on PSUs. Gautam, the other sector that's really come back from the dead is telecom. The question is, should one be buying all dips? Like today, these stocks are giving you a dip after a big run.
Well, Surabhi, there are actually a lot of sectors that have actually come back from the dead. Whether you look at auto, which saw a 2,000 point run up, telecom, which people have been talking of in the last 1.5 weeks. But I'm not a big fan at all. I think telecom has not worked for many, many years. And frankly, I wouldn't want to, commit too much into telecom stocks after, they have run up so much and there is so much news flow doing the rounds. The medium-term charts are still very weak, and I don't think this is a good time to be, lapping them up. I think there are much better bets in the market. And if there is one underperforming space, which I think is going to make a big comeback, and I think I spoke about it in our last interaction, and that is pharma. I think pharma was in a 3 be a bear market. I think that bear market got completed 2 months back. And if this pharma recovery is for real, which I think is the case, look at the way Sun moved yesterday, or a Glenmark Pharma or Dr. Reddy's. I think this entire pack, can give you a 20% move over the next 2 to 3 months. So pharma, I think where people have been mostly underweight because it has been an underperforming space, is something I would strongly look at. And after banking, it will probably be my best pick.
Okay, serious money is being taken off now. Idea 9% lower on that stocks, and from the high point about 20% off. Bharti Infratel 4% lower. Even Dish TV has come off. Even Z Entertainment has come off from the high. Sun TV has also come off. So there's some profit taking which has happened clearly in some of these names.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah, but there is Z is 8% of the highs, Lata. Okay. So
even fair point. Yes, of the highs, yes.
Yes, of the highs. Even NCC is seeing profit taking, by the way. So there are a lot of stocks seeing profit taking. Gautam, what about the autos? Maruti had a big rally from 5,500 to 7,500. Do you think it was start of a fresh run, or was it a bear market pullback which is now ending?
No, I don't think it's a bear market pullback, Anuj. In fact, I mapped the entire run on the auto index in the last couple of months through your channel. We were talking about it when it was at levels of 15,500, the BSE auto index. It hit a level of 19,000, and from there we've seen a sort of a 1,000-point cool off in the last 1 week. I think this is very normal. This is clearly the start of a new major uptrend for the auto index. Many of the big, underdogs or the dogs in the space are making a strong comeback, and I think this is for real. So this small pullback of the last 1 week, I think, is a great opportunity to lap up auto stocks. But let me also make one very important point about global equities. So far Indian markets have been doing their own thing. Global markets were in a little bit of a difficult space. But right now, when you look at the charts of many global markets across countries, across continents, you'll have to say that it's a wonderful world, because most markets are looking extremely positive on the charts, having broken out of multi-year trends. And I think this is going to lead to major upside for global equities over the next 6 to 8 weeks. This is a great tailwind for Indian equities, and if this were to play out, I wouldn't be surprised if the Nifty is at the doors of 13,000, sometime early next year itself.
Wow, that is a big bull call, Gautam, and it's a good one to wrap up this conversation on. Thank you very much for joining in and weighing in on the technicals today. Well, from technicals, now we get back to the micros and reconnect with Mr. Murthy to complete that conversation with NCC. Mr. Murthy, what we were trying to understand is, the arbitration aside, the other announcement that came in on the concession period itself, that it doesn't have to be 30 years now, it can be lesser than that. 50. Will that mean a fresh impetus, fresh life into road projects?
See, the TOT projects we are not bidding, so I cannot comment on that. Maybe it is beneficial if it is shorter than 30 years.
But would you want, this to, would you expect that this might apply to some of the other type of projects as well, whether it's HAM, etc.?
No, I mean, now will you change your mind with it coming to 15 years?
Or, start bidding for TOT?
It looks better. See, TOT is different and HAM is different. Okay. HAM of 15 years is definitely a good option for companies like us. TOT, we are not in that space at all, so I will not be able to comment on that.
Okay, and I wanted to ask you about the SEBI rule that came yesterday. Starting Jan 1st, a delay of interest or principal payment of over 30 days has to be reported to the exchange. Is that a big stress?
Yeah, that was discussed earlier. If you look at the market borrowings like NCDs, commercial paper, etc., are controlled by SEBI. Even if a one-day delay is there, that is considered as a default. And rating agencies also are very proactively looking at this space, and they are downgrading the companies even for one-day delay. But as far as the banks are concerned, because we have a long-term relation with the banks, and sometimes there may be delay of 1 or 2 days in interest payment or some installment payment, they have permitted up to 30 days, sort of a grace period, which is a good thing. In fact, RBI also has put this SMA categorization, saying that up to 30 days it is SMA 1 and all that. So for the listed companies, listed borrowers, is a good thing, and the investors will also be knowing what is happening in those companies.
Okay. No, what I meant was that from a company perspective, you don't look at this as an additional disruption. That you have to make this, that they have to make this public, and therefore, their suppliers may get scared off. You don't see this as an additional disruption for companies, do you?
Not a disruption. In fact, my aim is not to default.
Of course.
If that is the point, it's perfectly all right with me. The 30-day grace period sometimes will help us, which is not there for the market borrowings, like NCDs and commercial paper.
Yeah.
But at least for bank borrowings, because we have a long-term relation with the banks, it is understandable. It's not a disruption. In fact, we welcome that. We have no problem with that.
Okay, so Mr. Murthy, just help us understand once again, how much will you benefit from this whole move on arbitration? Do you think most of this was already known to you, or is there going to be any added benefit, if you have any numbers in mind?
You see, arbitration awards in favor of the contractor, based on the Niti Aayog circular, up to 75% can be given to the contractor with a bank guarantee as security. That we have been doing it. But now what the government said is, particularly when we are giving the bank guarantee, the client is asking for 1 year interest also to be loaded in the bank guarantee. That means if the arbitration award amount I am getting is 75 crores, I have to give a bank guarantee for 80 crores or something like that. That 1 year interest also. Now that has been dispensed with.
Okay, so to that extent, it's a bit of a relief in terms of the
exactly.
Yeah.
That is a relief to us.
How much would that number be, if you can give us some number?
What is your receivable as well,
Yeah.
if you could tell us? For you, the arbitration receivables?
See, arbitration awards given in our favor, and the client chose to go to the High Court or something, and where we used the Niti Aayog route and got back the money, about 150 crores we already got. The arbitration awards given to us and not given, money not given, we don't have at this point in time. It is an ongoing process, In fact, some of the bank guarantees have come back because the matter is settled in the court. The claims pending with government agencies, not at arbitration level, but below the arbitration level, is about 1,500 crores for our company at this point in time.
Okay, got that. 1,500 crores. Thank you very much, Mr. Murthy, for joining us with all those details.